Welcome to Educating You, where we discuss real estate and provide you with real estate knowledge. The purpose of this channel is to provide a zero-cost way to inform you about real estate topics. I'm Tim Yew. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur, and currently the broker of record for RE/MAX Real Estate Solutions here in Toronto. Just as a quick disclaimer, this is not legal, tax, or financial advice. If you want to consult your local experts in regards to these matters, please do so. In this video, I'm going to show you how to determine if you have a delayed occupancy compensation claim against your builder. In addition, I've added some tips at the end of the video to ensure you don't get screwed out of thousands of dollars on your closing. So let's get started. Tarion warranty delayed occupancy eligibility. You basically have 1 year from your occupancy date to make this claim. You can also see this on your Tarion warranty My Home page, as the option to make your claim will disappear if your time period has passed. You will make a delayed occupancy claim in 3 scenarios. Number 1, if the developer has delayed your firm occupancy/closing. Let me emphasize that it's your firm occupancy/closing date, not your tentative dates, so make sure you have the right dates. Number 2, if insufficient notice time was provided to change your dates. And number 3, if you have terminated your contract during the purchaser's termination period. So the first thing we need to determine is if you even have a claim. Let's start way back and look at your original purchase and sale agreement. In there, you'll see what's called a statement of critical dates, which is this document here. All the dates that you need to start from are listed here. To figure out if you have a claim, you need to first understand the dates. There are 2 types of closing/occupancy dates. The first is a tentative date. You can see the first tentative occupancy date here. This date should be filled out. This is also the date that the developer advertises as the estimated occupancy date on their marketing materials. Second is the firm date. You'll notice that it's blank on this form, and that's because no one yet knows this date, as it's impossible to know at this time because the building hasn't started construction. The difference between the 2 dates is that a tentative date is not a for sure date and an estimate, so don't bank on it. And a firm date is a pretty sure date, and I say pretty sure and not for sure because although it's the firm date, I've seen many cases where there has been delays past this date. Which means that the developer should owe you compensation with certain exceptions or unavoidable delays like acts of God, strikes, fires, explosions, pandemics, war, terrorism, and insurrections. There's one additional date you should know called the outside occupancy date. You can see this date on the original form here. The outside closing occupancy date for freeholds is 365 days from the firm closing date or the second tentative closing date, which I'll show you in the next section. For condos, this date is determined when you first sign your contract. If the property is not completed by this date, you have 30 days in which you can terminate your contract. This is called the purchaser's termination period. If you decide to do this, your deposit will be returned to you with interest, and you're entitled to delayed occupancy compensation. One final note that I'll leave you with is that these dates must fall on a business day. Now that you understand the dates, let's get into how much notice the developer must give you for any delays. It's different for freehold and condos, so I'll highlight the difference between the 2. Freehold. For tentative dates, the developer can delay this twice for freehold homes by up to 120 days each time. The builder must give you at least 90 days notice before this date if they are going to delay this date further or the original date becomes the firm closing date. Let's illustrate this with an example. The developer gave a tentative occupancy date of January 3rd, 2023. However, the developer is behind schedule, so he wants to delay the first tentative occupancy date to the maximum, which is 120 days, so May 3rd, 2023. The developer must give the notice by October 5th, 2022, or January 3rd, 2023 becomes a firm occupancy date. If the developer doesn't provide the notice by October 5th, 2022 and can't deliver by January 3rd, 2023, then the purchaser can claim delayed occupancy compensation. Now let's say the developer does give notice before October 5th, 2022 and can't meet the deadline for May 3rd, 2023. So he wants to delay it a second time, which is the final time. The maximum 120 days will be August 31st, 2023. The developer must give notice by February 2nd, 2023, or May 3rd, 2023 becomes the firm date. I hope this makes sense. Now for condos. For condos, they can extend the first tentative occupancy date multiple times until the roof is completed without paying compensation, given they give you proper notice. Proper notice is always at least 90 days before any delay, or it goes firm. Within 30 days of roof completion, the builder must set either a final tentative occupancy date or a firm occupancy date. If the builder provides a final tentative occupancy date, it can be any date before the outside occupancy date. After the final occupancy date is set, the builder can extend it one final time for a maximum 120 days to set the final date, which is the firm occupancy date. Let's illustrate this with another example. Let's say you had your first tentative occupancy date as January 3rd, 2023. The builder then wants to delay it to May 3rd, 2023. There is no minimum 120-day period like in freeholds, so they can set any day they want before the outside occupancy/closing date. The builder must give you notice before October 5th, 2022 for this delay, which is 90 days before the January 3rd, 2023 date. In this example, let's assume that the builder is really on the ball and does everything right. However, unfortunately, he needs to delay the project again, and he sets it for August 31st, 2023. So he must give you notice before February 2nd, 2023 that there will be another delay. Now let's just say he wants to delay a third time until December 29th, 2023, and we'll assume he gave you the proper 90-day notice before August 31st, 2023 to make this happen. So then construction goes on, and then on September 15th, 2023, the roof is completed. Now the developer must give you a final tentative occupancy date or a firm date within his 30-day window, which ends on October 15, 2023. So to be safe, he sets a final tentative occupancy date of March 11th, 2024. However, like every single project in Toronto, he needs to delay it one more time, so he chooses to max out on his 120 days to be safe to July 9th, 2024. So he must give you this notice before December 12th, 2023, which is a 90 days deadline to March 11th, 2024. If the developer missed any of these dates to give you notices, then your current date would have become your firm occupancy date. This example was a little bit more complicated, but I hope that makes sense. Just a final note on this is that if they haven't provided you with at least 10 days notice for a change to the firm occupancy date, you get an additional 10 days of compensation. I'll explain this in the other video. Now that you understand the notice period for the delays, you can determine whether or not you are owed delayed occupancy compensation. I have a step-by-step video where I actually make a delayed occupancy claim on one of my properties. You can click on this link here or at the end of the video after I give you a valuable tip that could save you $7,500. Now, here are some tips that you should know. Never sign anything that the builder sends to you without consulting with your lawyer. This might be obvious to some, but you don't know how many times I had clients come to me after they signed something directly with the builder. They may use some pressure tactics on you, so don't fall for this. The builder may slip in clauses into the amendment that can make you forfeit your delayed occupancy, among other things. Here's a final tip that I can tell you from my personal experience. If you plan on doing a name change to put the property under someone else's name, the builder can use this opportunity to make you sign off on forfeiting the delayed occupancy compensation. This actually happened to me recently. I bought a property intentionally to give it to a family member. I even had an amendment drafted during my 10-day cool-off period that I was allowed to do this. However, when it came to the occupancy closing, the developer forced me to do an assignment to the family member, not a simple name change. I had no choice but to sign off on this because they literally had me by the balls. And on the assignment consent, they put in a clause that I had to forfeit my delayed occupancy compensation, which ended up costing me $7,500. In addition, I was on the hook for additional lawyer fees and builder's lawyers fees as I had to do an assignment. Luckily, I had some personal connections, so I didn't have to pay these fees, but you probably will. The developers hire expensive lawyers for their contracts, which I guess are worth it because they come up with these crafty legal loopholes. If you sign off on it, then you're out of luck. I consulted with my lawyer, and they basically said that there's nothing I can do about it. So if you're thinking of doing a name change, be careful when you sign, or make sure you add the person's name before your 10-day cool-off period. If you're learning from or enjoying this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's a terrific free way to support us. If you have any questions for me or comments about the video, please put those in the comment section below, as we do read all the comments. You can also try contacting Tarion directly, as I left their contact information in the description below. If you want to see me break down the step-by-step process of making a delayed occupancy claim, click on this video here. I'll see you in the next video.